triggering change one heartbeat at a time. Battle for Freedom. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, and I appreciate every last one of you as we get into another broadcast of Battle for Freedom on Mojo 5 Radio, where we hashtag live free. We share up as much as we possibly can to change the world, one podcast, one broadcast, one crazy show at a time. If you want to donate to Mojo 50 Radio, go to mojo50.com. Share it out to as many people as you possibly can, and I'm certain that they'll be happy with the content that you get a chance to listen to on this. And while you're there, you can go to Facebook. You can go to mojo50.com. Basically, go to the schedule button. So if you see all the different shows that are available to you, you can also go to you can click the schedule button, you can click the shop button, you can click the donate button. Either way, just click buttons while you're there, and trust me, it will be a memorable moment for you as you go through checking out mojo50.com. Again, I'm your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom and Mojo 50 Radio. Let's get into talking about something that I find really, I came across a book some time ago, and I know I was telling you guys that we're going to get into this one, and we will. Let's get this so that you can see where I'm coming from here. And if you want to interact, you can go to facebook.com and /Battle for Freedom. I see a few people here. I see Heidi, Lisa, Lep. Thanks for joining. You have Lep, who's part of the half of he does Rock'em Sock'em Saturdays. He also does the Ain't You a Peach. His other half is Jamie Christopher. You can catch the both of them on Mojo 50 Radio. Please check it out. You can't go wrong in following them. Good content, great stuff, great people. Also, if you can, not just in supporting Mojo 50 Radio, can you support our sponsors? American Pride Roasters Coffee is historically great coffee. Historically great coffee. There's a great story that goes with every package, every blend that you try from this amazing company, American-based, and just really appreciate every last one of them. It's also the official coffee of Mojo 50 Radio. That's how much we love American Pride Roasters coffee. So please, if you can, go to AmericanPrideRoasters.com. If you are daring, try Watson's White Chocolate Caramel Blend. You will not go wrong. Also want you to consider New Life Holistic. If you have issues with anxiety, if you have issues with a wide variety of situations, why not try biofeedback therapy to see if that can help you with everything, all things insane, all things crazy with respect to the challenges you face in life. And we've been in a constant state of being triggered, and I'm wondering if this is something that we should look into. New Life Holistic, Anthony Macchiotti, he's a great resource, and you can't go wrong in following him. So one of the things we're going to do here, and hey, Kathy, thanks for joining and being part of the program. One of the things we're going to do is I'm going to get into some of this today. Henry Hazlitt, and who wrote Economics in One Lesson. I pick up this book. You can, if you go to right now, if you go to the Mises Institute, if you go to Mises.org, MISES.org, you can't go wrong in basically getting the content that you would really enjoy that's on this place. There's some great resources, especially this book, Economics in One Lesson. I'm going through, finally getting a chance to read through some of it, and it is very enlightening. Hey, Amy. Hey, Paula. Thanks for joining. Let me just make one quick adjustment here because I need some extra shining on my grill to make it look like it's just not, I'm Batman. Hold on a second here. Interesting. Well, can't find it. I'll find it during the break, and we'll go from there. So as we sit here, we're looking at this Mises Institute, and I'm talking to you today about the industrial illusion. The industrial illusion and basically the ultimate drag and drop. The industrial illusion, the ultimate drag and drop. And the reason why I share this with you is because of the fact that as we're sitting here, we're looking at a lot of the things that are affecting corporate America. We're looking at the issues of inflation and so much. I had to take a step back and try and understand this. And it's not just the corporate America thing. It's what we see in government. It's what we see in every aspect of our life. As there is this grand illusion of success and everything that's going on with us. And I think it's just been a numbers game for the longest time. You know, we talked about the industrial revolution. And this has been going on for so long, but I believe that in the midst of what we claim to be this great success and this great boom of innovation and production and manufacturing by society, there came something else in the midst of this. And I believe that Hazlitt really hones in on some of the key principles of the failures of what we see in society right now. Everything has just been nothing. For me, it's been nothing but a numbers game. The manipulations, the changes, you know, our stock market. Our stock market is a complete numbers game, not based on true facts, but on guesses and estimations, and hoping that, you know, what people gambled out would be the final outcome is basically whether it's a yay or nay. And it all hinges upon the integrity of businesses, the integrity of our government, the integrity of every individual that's in a business that's reflected in the market. That we have to sit here and hope that most of the businesses aren't playing numbers games, shifting stuff around to make it seem like they're getting things done. And I really believe that this is exactly what we're dealing with. And it's really unfortunate. Jamie says she's too out. Jamie Christopher, the other half of Ain't You a Peach, she says she's 2 more hours before she's out of Facebook jail. So good morning to you, Jamie, and I really appreciate you. Hoping to see you soon. Thanks, Lep, for the heads up on that one, so we'll know exactly where she is. Yeah, it's just the ultimate drag and drop. The ultimate drag and drop. I was trying to make sense of this here. Again, I started reading this last week when the family went to the pool and we were just kind of hanging out. My wife is relaxing and the kids are enjoying the water, and I'm just sitting back baking in this heat and still trying to enjoy this book. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm really, a lot of the stuff we knew was going on, I just didn't understand the grand level of what it is. So as I show you this thing on the Mises Institute, there's a couple of things I want you to see on this, and this is kind of key. With the Mises Institute, and you look at the page, you know, there's a lot of information. I put in the timeline of the broadcast on Facebook. You can see mises.org. It's in the show description. Check it out, because this book here, I got it for 75 cents. I think it was 75 cents, or less than $1. You can get a whole case of them for $12 and send it out as to many people as you possibly can. Now, waking America up, making America great again, begins with America being humble again and humbling itself before God, choosing to bow the knee, bow the heart, bow the spirit, and bow and give great allegiance to God in what's going on. And we can see a massive revolution. We can see the massive success in this country if people are willing to wake up. You need to be in the Word, know the truth, be exposed to that. And there are a lot of other informational books that can kind of get you really looking beyond the illusion of what's going on. And I'm not lying to you. Everything that we are seeing right now, what is it? Is it in Hinduism? We talk about the whole idea that so much is an illusion of what we're watching. And one of the other Eastern mysticisms I used to follow more than 20, almost 30 years ago. But one of the things that I thought was very interesting as I was partaking and following a lot of this actually, that was almost 30 years ago. Yeah, that was more than 30 years ago. I was following those illusions. And what was very interesting with this was a lot of the stuff that we've been watching, the stock market, all of this stuff has just been nothing but an illusion, playing games, continuing to deceive us into what true success looks like. I mean, I know everybody gotta love you some Donald Trump. We gotta be faithful to him, and he's gonna restore America. Let's flip back to what he had done before he was elected, before he was nominated. You know, a few failed marriages, and multiple bankruptcies. Now, everybody keeps calling this, hey, Curtis, thanks for joining. Everybody keep calling this, he's this big success story, but he was successful in using the system, but based on hurting and deceiving other individuals and not coming through on what he promised he would do. That's not a story of success. That's a story of someone who's, well, it is a story of success. It's successfully manipulating the system and deluding people into believing that this is a form of success, even though it's built on a lot of failure and deception. And I think that, again, he's a great person, and we watch and we sit here and we get angry about the government shifting stuff left and right about what they do and what success looks like. And we do it at every aspect. Churches, for instance. Well, we got great attendance and our church is exploding and everything like that. New people are coming to Christ. It's not, the church growth isn't always new people or new believers coming to Christ. It's just Christians moving from one church to another. That's not church growth, because true church growth is the body of Christ growing, numbers being added to those who bow the knee, bow the heart, bow the spirit to God. And church transitions is not church growth. And I believe that as we see that we see that in the spiritual realm, when we see that where people are changing, in the churches, it's the same numbers game in the businesses. Oh, well, we fired people because we saved money because we fired people and we brought in contractors. We saved money because we stopped spending on this and we stopped holding this on the shelves. We start holding people on the shelves because of the fact that this is how we give the image of success, and it's not the case. What we've done is we've shuffled the numbers, we've mixed the numbers, we've moved them back and forth, and what was the proverbial statement we say in church? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. And this is literally what it has been, this industrial illusion, the ultimate drag and drop. We drag these numbers over here and we put it over here. And hey, look at our great report over here. But what about this report over here? No. Focus on our great report about what we're doing over here. And I tell you, it's very scary because of the fact that I think every last one of us, we have to do this at the business level. We have to do this at the corporate level. We have to do this at the church level. We have to do this at the government level, because all the shifting, it finally hit me. Why is it that Karine, Jean-Pierre, the reason why many of these individuals can sit there, many of these people can, thanks Tim for joining, why many of these government individuals can sit there and promote that this is the most successful administration in the midst of high inflation and high unemployment. We don't have people coming back to work because of the fact that they're excited for the next government check showing up, or basically they just abuse the system. But for some strange reason, there's confidence in stating that this is the most successful administration, even though we're at record gas prices, we're at record food prices, we're at record everything. Everything is hyperinflated in price because we kept printing money. And then I finally realized they've been in government so long that they know the idea of shifting stuff from side to side, that they don't know how to tell the truth. It's not that they can't handle the truth. They don't know what the truth looks like. They have played the shifting game for so long that they don't have the ability to reconcile what truth really is. Hence, when Caiaphas, what was his name, who said to Jesus, what is truth, or whatever, it's like, what the truth is. You've just been so busy trying to shift games that you ran out of pieces to move. As you stand in front of the best chess player ever, the Grand Master of chess. And here is, not Potiphar. What is his name? Not Caiaphas. Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate sitting there before Jesus. What is truth? Holy moly guacamole. I'm telling you, you're gonna love, because I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna do this, and we're debating on whether we're gonna do this on Fridays or we're gonna find some time where we're gonna be focusing in on this book, because there's so much that I want to share. And there was in the opening of this whole, I apologize, because there's this one statement that summarizes everything that he says in reference to getting us to understand economics in one lesson. And he has this simple definition. Here it is. Okay. This is from Hazlitt. And now I understand why is it that CNN is attacking the Tuttle twins. I remember I started reading this book, and my oldest, my 10-year-old, she came up to me the other day and she was like, Henry Hazlitt, you got a book by Henry Hazlitt? I'm like, how do you know about Henry Hazlitt? She's like, well, because of the Tuttle twins. I was like, oh, so one of the episodes you were watching from the Tuttle twins was talking about Henry Hazlitt? Yeah, she's like, yeah, she started getting all excited and talking about this. And I was like, okay, so I've got to get her this book too, so she can read this when she's done reading other books right now. And I sat there and I was like, oh my goodness, they wanted, glad that's fixed for you. I'm glad that's fixed for you, Lep. They don't want people to really think clearer and see a lot of the shifting going on. But here is what he says. He says, from this aspect, therefore, the whole of economics can be reduced to a single lesson, and that lesson can be reduced to a single sentence. Check this out. The art of economics consists in looking not merely at the immediate, but at the longer effects of any act or policy. It consists in tracing the consequences of that policy, not merely for one group, but for all groups. And see, what happens is we sit here and we pay attention to what's happening in society. Let's shift back 50 years, 50, 60 years, as we looked into the idea and the concept of, well, actually, I think it goes back to even 70 years, close to 60, 70 years. And that's the idea of affirmative action. That affirmative action was being put into place to try and undo the evils of the past, of segregation and racism and oppression and everything like that. But what happened was we had this disaster that took place because of the value of people dropped because of affirmative action. I remember I was watching a video of Thomas Sowell, and he was interviewing this woman on, I think she was from a liberal media network, and he was telling her how affirmative action was actually a blight against blacks and women. And the woman was completely startled in what he said, and he's like, no, seriously, this was a move backwards, not a move forwards. And she's like, how so? He's like, before affirmative action, we were making much more money as blacks and as women. We made more money in industrial America. And she says, but because of the fact that they want to bring about equality, they lowered the standards to get into many of these bigger businesses. And by lowering the standards or the entry requirements, you could lower the salaries. You could lower the salaries. You didn't have, because you weren't as quote unquote qualified as you were needed. So what they did is to give the appearance of equality, to give the appearance of fairness, they dropped the standards so that you didn't have to pay people as much. See, and this is what Sowell was saying 40, 50 years ago. And we see the same things now. As they sit here and they talk about, oh, we want women to be paid their fair share and everything like that. It's like, well, then get rid of affirmative action. Get rid of equity and equality and all these other different things, and let people be hired because of their true value of what they bring to the table, and not because of these corporate measuring rods and sticks that are busted scales, the busted scales of quote unquote equal justice. And here it is. We're watching and society is failing because of the fact that we keep shifting numbers and we shift standards. We shift what is acceptable. We shift the truth. And what happens is at the end of the day, you try to make sense and you try to come out of this, and all you're doing is stuck in the quicksand of equality and social justice that's based on an illusion and a lie. The industrial illusion, as we've been watching this numbers game happening for over a century, this is the reason why you had the stock market crash. This is the reason why you had the stock market crash. Why? Because even back then, you had the shiftings of numbers and of portrayed success, not built on facts, not built on truth, but built on illusions and promises that never came to pass. Guesstimations that were hoping for success, that instead of just, you know what, do the hard work, do the hard numbers, produce the quality that we need, and stop wasting people's time. I'm telling you, they keep thinking that this industrial revolution was this great, it wasn't a great achieving moment for society and humanity. It was actually the beginning of their fall. Because what happened was, as they moved from actual hard work and actual manufacturing to mass production with a lot of money maneuvering and money shifting. Hence, we had the stock market crash of 1929. And we have consistent stock market crashes because, what was it? Just 3 years ago, you had one Chinese business that was basically threatening the sanctity of the market because they had made promises and they made guesses and it never came to pass and they defaulted on their loans. Everybody's freaking out. Stock markets are crashing. Even now, all you have to do now is just say inflation or recession. And all you have to do is say a word and the stock market falls. Not based on true numbers, not based on reality, but based on guesses. And this is the problem that we run into is, I'm going to tell you, the only reason why I have this book, and I even know about the Mises Institute, is because of Alan Chesser. He's running for state senate, I believe, or is it the House? No, is it the House in North Carolina? And he's the one who shared this with me. Served in the military, I believe served in law enforcement. He's a friend of some of the other guys who used to be part of Mojo 5 Radio. Alan Chesser. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, and good luck and may the Lord bless you on the day that you are elected to your seat to bring about and prayerfully get a lot of the hand waving shut down in North Carolina and start making a change. Start ending a lot of the GOP and conservative corruption that's been taking place in that state. As we sit here and watch it. So thank you, Alan. I know it's a sidebar in what I was saying, but this is critical of where we are right now. We are in a lot of trouble because of the fact that there have been a lot of hand waving going on. And we have been completely manipulated into a lie. That's the reason why most of the stuff, think about this. We shift our attention from this to this, to this, to this. This year alone, we went from COVID to Ukraine to impeachment 7.0. Because again, even this latest thing with this Hutchinson person who overheard something, that was the basis of they overheard something for the second impeachment on the Ukraine nonsense. Oh, no, that was the first impeachment stuff. On the Ukraine stuff, that someone overheard a conversation. That's what they pulled back in 2020. And they tried to impeach him on that, on a conversation overheard. And here it is. Here's another person doing a hearsay conversation. And many of you right now that you're really believing that this is the moment that they're going to take Donald Trump down because they finally got the information in this preposterous story that this outlandish story that they put out there. It really goes to show you how easy it is to manipulate you with a lie. We're in a lot of trouble. Our heart rates are skipping, and the pulse of America, it's fading away. if we don't get a handle on these lies and manipulation. Let's go to a break, and I'll talk to you on the flip side. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. Romans 10:14 through 17. How then will they call on him who they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah says, Lord, who has believed what he has heard from us? So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. I share these passages with you because of the fact that we know John 3:16. We probably barely hear Romans 10:14 through 17. And most doubtedly, we never hear 2 Corinthians 5:17. Life as a believer in Christ requires change. To make a decision for Christ, we recognize that there is something wrong in our lives and we need to do different. We need to be better, but we can't be better on our own strength. So we hear the gospel message, moved by the Spirit of God, and we respond. I ask you now, if you've heard the message, please respond and live for his glory. Triggering change, one heartbeat at a time. Battle for freedom. Hello, everyone. Your host, Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Mojo5 Radio, and we are back, and we're going to get into this. We're going to continue this whole idea of talking about the industrial illusion and the ultimate drag and drop. The ultimate drag and drop. You know, again, as I sit here going through this book by Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt, thank you, Alan Chesser, running for the House in North Carolina. Please vote for him. Get him in. He's probably going to be one of the greatest minds that you can actually appreciate, that's going to help see some restoration of common sense and hopefully integrity back in the government system. But this is what was really interesting as we sit here watching this idea. Is like, you know, we talked in the previous segment, we talked about the idea of, you know, affirmative action, trying to make everything right. And now we have this woke culture of trying to make everything right. And in the process, and no one's considering the economics of what happens here. All this money that's going into all these woke programs, these woke speakers who are being paid ridiculous amounts of money to come in and basically marginalize whites to make blacks and the LGBT community and women feel better. And it's really sad because of the fact that we're all human. We're all created equal. I mean, this is in the Declaration of Independence, that all men are created equal with certain unalienable rights. And when we sit here and we watch with unalienable rights given to us by God, we're all equal. We're all on the same playing field. Does it happen in corporate America? Does it manufacture or manifest itself in corporate America? Probably not, because of the fact that, again, everything is a numbers game. Everyone's shifting stuff around, and again, this is the part about it that kills me, because one of the biggest problems that we run into, and we see a lot in corporate America, especially in the IT departments, and that someone puts in a ticket. Now, I've had friends who experienced this. They put in a ticket with IT. The IT person closes the ticket before ever contacting them and basically closes the ticket and says it's done. Why? Because there's a numbers game on the IT people closing all their tickets in a quick period of time. Not that the situation has been resolved, but they just, if you close a ticket out fast and you basically then have it resolved as quick as possible, then your numbers go up and it gives the appearance of success. That's not there. Because now you have a whole bunch of angry people who are angry that you closed their ticket before even resolving the issue. You never spoke to them. You never had a conversation with them. You just basically said, hey, the ticket's done. It's a numbers game. When they shift around and they fire people because of the fact that they're trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, we kept our numbers low. We kept our expenses low. Even as Tucker Carlson, like I said, I was shocked, and I shared this. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, was the whole idea that the reason why companies can pay up to $4,000 for people to go off and get an abortion, because that $4,000 is a whole lot cheaper than the $50,000 to $70,000 to $120,000 in benefits that has to be paid. That may not even include whatever money they're contributing over to their 401k plan. But to basically cover that person and their family on an insurance plan, oh yeah, $4,000 is a whole lot cheaper than $40,000 to $150,000, if not more than that. And so when you turn around and you allow that abortion, or you fire the individual, and if you make that individual and you bring them back as a contractor, you're not paying the contractor's insurance. You're not paying the contractor's money or 401k plans. You're paying nothing. You're paying nothing. And hence, the contractor themselves working for the contracting agency, that contract agency is not covering their retirement plan. That contracting agency is not covering their insurance plan. So any money that comes from the employer, who can actually raise a great salary to basically pay the contracting company, even that contracting company still gives money to the contractor. And again, there's no money to be dealt with in insurance plans. There's no money to be dealt with in retirement plan. It's a shifting game. And they basically make it seem like this is a form of success, when it's a form of barbarism. It's a form of barbarism. And in the face of people who call themselves educated, highly educated, and moving towards saving humanity. How can you do this when we allow ourselves to strip the dignity out of people who have committed themselves working for companies for so long, and then be fired and then rehired as a contractor because I don't feel you're valuable enough to make the investment of insurance and retirements? You've shown loyalty to me for the longest time, and loyalty has been a word that has been completely removed from a lot of the businesses for almost 3 decades now. There was a great shift. I thought the great shift was in 1996 when they got rid of Ross Perot out of EDS, but no. It happened as far back as even the 70s when IBM were firing its faithful employees, because the numbers game wasn't working out the way that they needed it to. More than 3 decades. And I would say closer to maybe even 5 or 6 decades now, we have been afflicted with this severe transition from loyalty to these faithful employees to it's a numbers game that I have to continue to portray. So every time this shifts, the numbers shift, and it shifts to a far more severe form of narcissism that's happening in corporate America, happening in the federal government, to the point that you finally the only way that so first you fire the people, or you bring them back as contractors, you shift the businesses overseas to get your numbers better, and now the overseas businesses are growing ridiculously, and they want more and more of their employees hired. So what do you have to do? Hey, let's introduce a pandemic that's going to kill a lot of people around the world, so that I don't have to keep paying people, and that'll really make my numbers look good. Hey, let's turn around and poison a lot of people. Let's poison a lot of people and let them start dying left and right. So that way, you know what? The unemployment numbers are really true, because there's no people who are alive to actually be counted in the unemployment number. Can't count dead people in unemployment. Shift it around. Left, you're hilarious. He says, I voted for Ross back in the day. His charts were cool. I'll say this much. I'll say this much. For the people that I work with, when I worked for EDS, and I started working for EDS around 96, 97, right about the time he's leaving. And they said, if there was ever a business to work for, if there was ever a man to work for in corporate America, it was Ross Perot. Because Ross Perot, when he had EDS, I believe down in Plano, Texas, and not everyone had to wear shirts and ties, because he wanted a level of professionalism that was in the workplace. And he had that strict requirement of professionalism. And they said it was the closest business that you could see that operated near the efficiency of most Japanese companies. But what was even better was Ross Perot was a people person. He would literally walk into the cafeteria and sit down and have conversations with his employees. And then he had the unmitigated gall to say that no CEO should make more than $250,000 a year. Boom, he had to go. He had to go. And you sit here and you turn around and you see these CEOs with these ridiculous corporate packages, and they just and I just watch it. They're shifting people from this company to this company, this company, this company, all within the same network, all within the same, parent companies. They just shifted people around, giving them this position, giving this position, but not really truly raising new people up, new blood up in the corporation to take these places. They just go from one company to another, from one big corporate conglomerate to another big corporate conglomerate, giving you the illusion that this is what success and progress looks like. And then they wonder why many of their employees are feel disenfranchised, why many people may feel like what's the purpose of even contributing to this? That when we try to better ourselves, when we try to figure out what's better, and this whole game, and we're watching this musical chairs nonsense happening at corporate, corporate levels, that'll never be achievable for us. And now I think I understand why. It was never meant for us to be there. And don't think that I'm going all issues about black people. No, it's about a whole bunch of people, black, white, male, female, it doesn't matter. If you're not part of the in crowd who knows how to juggle the numbers as best as possible, why do you think that the lawyers are so well in constructing a lot of the documents and laws and things like that out there? Why? Because it's a lot of legalese, shifting of terms that never really states a true law that is basic and simple that even a third grader can understand it. They overcomplicate these laws. They overcomplicate these bills. They overcomplicate everything because they're massive. They're greatly skilled in shifting meaning and shifting understanding, so that you wait for the truth to come out. And by the time that you expect the truth to come out, they come up with a completely different story, or a rationalization as to why that things didn't come out the way that they expected it to. It's Russia's fault. It's Putin's war is what's making gas as big as it, gas prices as high and inflation as high as it is right now. You got Democrats who are basically even saying, we're calling BS on that one. But there was this one interesting chapter. This is the very first. I have time for this. Cool. I want to go to you with the Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. And I'm just going to quickly do this part here on Chapter 2, The Broken Window. And then I'm going to better explain for you as we're watching everything unfold and why. It's because this goes beyond economics. This goes to every level of society. This is Satan's handiwork. Hazlitt pulls out Satan's handiwork in the most simplistic way possible. So entertain me here as I share this. Again, thank you, Alan Chesser. Thank you, Henry Hazlitt, because you were someone ahead of your time, and this is key. Chapter 2, The Broken Window. Let us begin with the simplest illustration possible. Let us emulate Bastiat chose a broken pane of glass. A young hoodlum heaves a brick through the window of a baker's shop. The shopkeeper runs out furious, but the boy is gone. A crowd gathers and begins to stare with quite satisfaction at the gaping hole in the window and the shattered glass over the bread and pies. After a while, the crowd feels a need to philosophic reflection, and several of its members are almost certain to remind each other or the baker that, after all, this misfortune has a bright side. It will make business for some glazier. As they began to think this, they elaborate upon it. How much does a new plate of glass window cost? $250. That will be quite a sum. After all, if the window were never broken, what would happen to the glass business? Then, of course, the thing is endless. The glazier would have $250 more to spend with other merchants, and these in turn will have $250 more to spend with other merchants, and so ad infinitum. Yeah. The smashed window will go on providing money and employment in ever-widening circles. The logical conclusion from all this would be, if the crowd drew it, that the little hoodlum who threw the brick, far from being a public menace, was a public benefactor. Do you get that? So instead of actually addressing the person who was destroying property, they're looking at the new businesses created. I think this is every aspect of society. You remember how everybody complained about the endless wars that Republicans got us into? So what do you say about Biden keeping us in the Ukraine? What do you say about Biden constantly fueling money to the Ukraine? What do you say about Biden constantly shifting people across the planet? Starting new wars. Oh, he's sending stuff over to South Korea to flex with Kim Jong-un. This is happening under a Democrat. The war machine continues to go on. So we create wars that creates more machines for war. We create pandemics for vaccines and masks and so much more. Let's stop with that one right there for a second. Think about this. Under President Trump, the U.S. economy was shut down to deal with this pandemic. A lot of businesses were lost. 10 million jobs lost because of what happened, because of, shutting down the economy, because of the pandemic, shutting down businesses because of the pandemic, determining that there are people who were non-essential and their businesses did not need to function in the midst of the pandemic. And many businesses closed out because they could not recover from that horrific decision. And as a result of that, what came new of this? I mean, I had friends who were benefactors of this. The mask business. People were making masks. They were making custom masks. They were making tons of masks and everything like that. And so people were making money, and I'm glad that they were making money, but it did not in any way recoup or even make close the distance of what was lost because of the businesses shut down. But you see how many people were excited because not only did we have mask business, we had vaccine businesses. We had a lot of businesses, even in the medical technology environment, that are coming up with solutions to fight COVID. So we create this monstrosity, we create this nightmare to drum up further business. When you sit here and you look at Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson posting billion-dollar profits, multi-billion-dollar profits because of COVID. And you sit there and you're like, what? See, many of you who are like Bush lied and people died and Halliburton and oil in the Iraq war, where are you now? Where are you now? When it's clear that this stuff was engineered to basically bankrupt America, bankrupt the world, and so much more. Shifting. Oh, look at all the mask business. Look at all these different businesses. Oh, we have people who are now, the restaurants, they're booming because what happened was they figured out a way to overcome the situation of not having people in their restaurants. So they turn around and they are now they're delivering the food to the people, even though they had to cut the staff in half. They don't have as many people who are still working there. But they're recouping some of the money, not all of their money. And they're coming up with these new ways to try and survive in the midst of a pandemic. And you're getting shut down. And the chief people at the top in the government are creating this mess. And they keep uttering the words, the Biden administration, the Trump administration, the Obama administration, the Bush administration, the Clinton administration. They created jobs. The government doesn't create jobs. The government doesn't create jobs. It's Americans who create jobs, private industries that create jobs. And when the government turns around and decides to shut down a private industry so that they can have a federal level or state level or county level business doing exactly what that private business was doing, and now that burden now becomes a burden of the American people in the form of taxes to cover that government job, we truly have lost. Yeah, you created more federal jobs. That's not creating jobs. That's creating federal burden. That's creating global burden for the people. That is the worst shifting drag and drop situation that we ever could imagine. But see, people keep looking and thinking, well, we're creating jobs and we're creating this. No. You create jobs by lessening the size of the government and giving more of the freedom for American businesses to grow without the burden of being overtaxed because we have to pay for an overinflated government. And that mentality was even sopped. That mentality worked its way even into the church. That you have these prosperity preachers who are overburdening the people to give more than they've ever given to the church, not for the function of actually helping the community, but padding the lifestyle, the luxurious lifestyle of many of these mega preachers. That corporate marriage, the preacher's gotta be making six figures. He got to make seven figures because if it's a rich, I mean, literally think about this. I've heard directly from a person who goes around the world building churches, not building churches, but building college institutions, Christian education institutions around the world. And he said to me, a pastor has to make more money than, he has to make as much money as the average income in his church, if not more than that. And he has to give the illusion of success and everything like that. This is coming from a person who builds church institutions, but not church institutions, but educational institutions, higher level education institutions around the world. And he's basically following the corporate model. No wonder the churches are failing, because we're following corporate models and we're not following Christ-like models. And the church is even involved in this industrial illusion. I'm not saying that pastors can't get paid. Pastors must be paid. They're working, they're providing. But corporate jets? Pastors Appreciation Month? You're appreciated in every check that you get. But when we go overboard and we create this Pastor's Appreciation Month, show your appreciation to your pastor, not just in October, do it all year round. Be obedient, be good disciples, be good followers, and make more disciples. It's not just the burden of your pastor. It's not the burden of the elders and the leadership. You are a leader who says that you bow the knee, bow the heart to Christ. Be the leader and not put that burden and put that responsibility solely on the shoulders of the leadership of your church. But when the church gets into this corporate model, we're doomed. We're doomed. This is a nightmare. We are in a lot of trouble, and I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Lord, help us. Lepp was basically saying, I always thought it was the Dems who started the wars. So he says, Wilson, Democrat, World War I, Roosevelt, World War II, Truman, Korea, Kennedy, Nam, all Dems. But all you have to do is say it, because with people who can't understand all the shifting happening in front of them, they're going to buy the lie that it's old white rich Republicans who are warmongers. I think McCain was one of them. He was just the best disguised Democrat posing as a Republican, posing as a conservative all those years. McCain was a huge warmonger. McCain was a huge warmonger, and I believe that he was a Democrat running as a Republican as long as he could. But when you sit there and you watch his lesson about the broken glass, I mean, think about that. If we create this problem, we don't address the issue of the crime. We look at the new opportunities presented because of this. And hence we get back to what a lot of black people are saying. The jails are revolving doors for blacks because it is a money-making institution scheme that keeps everybody in making as much money as they possibly can. Think about that. We have set this up so that you can turn around and make more and more money. The private prison systems, the judicial system that's constantly seeing money. Philadelphia is known for its criminal behavior, what the police and the judicial system is working on keeping people in and revolving in and out of the doors. Philadelphia is one of the worst cities in this country in terms of the corruption, the corrupt level. And even I'm even seeing it even here in Indiana, where you have certain towns that had the lowest murder rates, lowest crime rates in the Midwest. Come to find out, the only reason why the numbers are low is because of the fact that the cops are refusing to report the actual crimes. The cops are literally, so my numbers look good by not reporting the crimes. Criminal activity being, literally law breaking. And now you have this legalese interpretation that cops are not even wanting to do their jobs now. When there's direct violations, oh, that's a civil matter. No, it's a criminal behavior happening that needs to be documented, and they're refusing to do it in towns here in Indiana. I'm telling you, my heart is breaking right now because of the fact that I support the blue, but blue is really disappointing me now. I'm seeing people I had high respect for, and now I'm seeing that they're part of the juggling game too, even in police departments. If I don't report it, we show some success in our community. If I don't have, and even one of my buddies, he shared this with me, even in schools, you know the reason why many schools don't sit there and report what's happening when there's illegal activity or someone's attacked or someone's raped or someone's molested in schools? You know why they don't report it? It's not because of the fact that because it's a numbers game. Because if there's any negative report against that school that goes to the higher levels, that's less money that goes to them. That's less of a credit rating for that school and getting recognition and getting the money and getting the support and everything like that. It's all a numbers game. It's all an illusion. No wonder you had No Child Left Behind. Because of the fact that what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle these kids right through the school. They can't read, they can't write, they can't think, but we graduated them. And now they're a burden on society because of the fact that they're frustrated because they don't have the proper instruction on how to function in society, because the quote-unquote loving teachers who basically took out $100,000 degrees, and now they have to pay it back, getting $12,000 to $14,000 to $24,000 a year. Of course they're going to compromise their values. Of course they're going to compromise their integrity. Of course they're going to keep their mouths shut when things are happening, because they're going to get as much money as they can get so they can feel comfortable, continue blaming Republicans when it's them that they're participating in the machine of deception. They're the ones who are continuing to debilitate our children. They're debilitating our children. They're debilitating society, all because it's a number game, all because of this industrial illusion, the ultimate drag and drop game. We're going to drag and drop your kids right through school, giving the impression that they're successful, and not really give them the instruction and training that they really need. I'm telling you, get yourself a copy of Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. Go to the Mises Institute, because we're going to spend some time breaking down every one of these things here, because this is huge and this is really, really big. I want you to go and take the rest of this day, take the rest of your life to start really looking at the bigger pictures. Are the numbers that are being given to me true, or is it nothing but an illusion? And what do you do about looking through the deception? You need God first, and he'll take you through that. I'm Hills Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom. God bless. Take care. I'm out.